What's up, everybody? Welcome to my first ever episode of the Basketball Morning Show. A show that I want to do once per week. You know, of course, recording probably the night before and uploaded in the morning for all of you morning goers. And just so throughout the week, we can talk about everything that's happening throughout the NBA, right? And of course, today is Tuesday. A little late, but that's fine. Is tip off, right? And before the NBA season really starts to get going, I just want to talk a little bit about how how I think the season's going to go. Talk about the storylines, maybe not like a full ranking, but who I think is going to be like the playoff contenders, championship contenders for each conference, and just certain stuff like that. Right, previewing the NBA season with its players, teams, and predictions for some accolades. Right, this is going to happen once a week. It's going to be certain face to face, well, face to camera, uh, talk about basketball. Few edits here and there, and we'll see what happens with this channel and the show, right? But let's talk about basketball, right? I think obviously when we talk about basketball, we have to talk about what happened last season a little bit, right? And obviously last season, the NBA champions, the Denver Nuggets, are looking to repeat this coming season, and they didn't really lose anybody, right? They lost Bruce Brown, and honestly, the way Christian Brown played in the playoffs, we can probably expect him to take more of that role. Obviously, he might not play it like Bruce Brown, might have some errors here and there as a sophomore player, but ultimately, I trust him to actually, make up for the slack of losing Bruce Brown. But otherwise, I mean, this team is great, right? We can't doubt the Denver Nuggets. Nikola Jokic, arguably the best player. I would say he's the best player in the NBA as of right now, but arguably the best player in the NBA. Obviously, I think Giannis, and you still have Curry. You can make arguments for those players. But no, I mean, like with Jokic facilitating the ball, and about all of the off-ball movement done by Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr. on the three. I mean, I don't really understand how you look at this team and don't think they can repeat. But it's a simple fact that everybody knows that the Nuggets, when healthy, are championship contenders. Yeah, I mean, like if they do win another championship, of course there's gonna be talks about like, oh, this is going to be the next new modern dynasty, right? And Jokic would instantly go into like top 20 all time. The discussions around this team and Jokic would change a whole ton. And Jamal Murray also, right? He'd be a for sure fire. I mean, I already think he's an all-star caliber player, but he'd be like this time for sure like second star, all-star caliber player. I mean, he always improves in the playoffs anyway, so I don't know why people would think otherwise. It's just he doesn't really do it both in the regular season and the playoffs like other players do, right? But yeah, I mean, the Nuggets is an easy one. I mean, you got the Lakers, right? The Lakers, I mean, LeBron James is still going in year 20, which is honestly crazy, right? Say whatever you want about the GOAT debate or whatever, but LeBron James definitely has the longest career while playing at like a superstar level, right? It's going to be very interesting to see what happens health-wise with this team. If they are healthy and Anthony Davis is healthy, I can really view like a future where Anthony Davis is still the star of this team and is the superstar of this team by, also adding somebody else. The most important part about this offseason for the Lakers, though, was adding some guys off the bench, right? Gabe Vincent is a great piece to add as a rotational player who just came off of a run with the Miami Heat to make the finals. I mean, good three-point shooter, a little bit of a scrappy defender. I mean, that's a great pickup to have off the bench to help D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves in the backcourt. And then they also signed, I think this is an important signing, Torian Smith and Christian Wood. It's going to help their wing and big man depth, especially big man depth with Christian Wood. And I mean, like they made all the right moves to make this team not only like, oh, Austin Reeves, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, but they made it like, oh yeah, we also have Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt, Gabe Vincent, Christian Wood. Like also, this is a team that honestly they're fine with giving LeBron James a couple of minutes to rest, and giving Austin Reeves a couple of minutes to rest, and giving Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt a couple minutes to rest because they are confident in having Torian Smith and Christian Wood. So I think the Lakers did everything that they should have done. Right, they got some more 3-point shooting. They got more big man depth. And they kept some of the key players that helped them improve and make the playoffs last year, like Jared Vanderbilt and Rui Hachimura, right? And D'Angelo Russell, to be fair, although he can have his lows. But yeah, no, the Lakers are instantly championship contenders. We all know this. They were the runner-ups, and I expect a lot more. Like, if a Lakers versus Nuggets rematch would happen, I think it'd be definitely a lot closer series this time around. I mean, unless LeBron James finally starts to show major regression, which honestly I can't count out LeBron until I see it with my own two eyes. Yeah, the other team, Phoenix Suns. My goodness. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. That's a very hard trio to just look at and say, nah, they're not championship contenders. They are, right? That's too much talent to say that they aren't. I do have some questions. I have some questions defensively for the Suns. I have some questions depth-wise for the Suns. But I think that they did make needed trades to actually help their depth, right? And signings, right? They signed guys like Eric Gordon, Keita Bates-Diop, guys like that, right? But really what I'm looking at is the trades, right? Grayson Allen is going to be great off of the bench as just a rotational shooter, 3-point shooter, off-ball guy. Good stuff getting him in that Damian Lillard trade. And then, of course, you have Yusuf Nurkic, right? Which, I think Ayton obviously is better player than Nurkic, but what Nurkic does though is I think fits a little bit more into the Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker playing together, right? I think that fits that offense and that scheme a little bit better. He can space it more, a lot more. I don't think Aiden shoots threes at all. Maybe a half attempt. And then Nurkic also passes a little bit more, which I think opens up the offense. And, of course, that gives spacing and stuff like that. But regardless, you're still going to have a lot of shooting on the perimeter, mid-range shooting. With Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and Kevin Durant, I expect a lot of mid-range shots coming from that team. But, yeah, it's going to be hard to just guard them. Of course, you have to question their defense. Their depth is better than everybody thought it was going to be, but it is still a big question mark, especially when you go face guys like the Nuggets, the Warriors, and if the Clippers, if they're healthy, which we'll talk about them in a second. But yeah, I think the Phoenix Suns are definitely championship contenders here. I would personally favor these other teams I'm talking about as championship contenders for the Western Conference, which being the Nuggets, the Lakers, and now the Golden State Warriors. I know a lot of people are kind of down on the Warriors, honestly. It really seems like people just are not counting on the Warriors to come back, which I think is very interesting because the Warriors literally won the finals in 2022, right? And one of the guys that helped them, which I could argue was their second best player during that run, Andrew Wiggins, was dealing with an issue all season long, and now he's back. He's playing a full season. Chris Paul, which, yes, the lineup is weird. Draymond Green playing at the 5. I don't know if I like that. I don't think the lineup is permanent. Obviously, if they're this isn't working, Steve Kerr is not just going to be let's just keep the same way. Well, hopefully he doesn't do that. But Chris Paul does help the playmaking and facilitating on this team out more, and it also slows down the pace of the game when needed, because sometimes you can be going too fast, and when you go too fast, you can make a lot more mistakes that way. Chris Paul is super smart, still a lethal mid-range shooter, and helps facilitate. I'm very interested to see, Curry's going to be a superstar like he always is. Interested to see how Klay Thompson does. Interested to see how Draymond Green does at the 5. And, of course, Andrew Wiggins. I think Andrew Wiggins is going to do good and play his role. Kevon Looney coming off the bench kind of hurts me a little bit personally. I would way rather him actually play because he's, and he's proven to be a championship-level center, right? So it's just interesting to me. And, of course, you have Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody, who you want to see take leaps as, the young guys and hopefully give a little bit more of a hope for the future for this team. Yeah, there really are the other contenders in the West. Of course, I think the West is a wild, wild West. So it's not like I'm saying that it's out of the realm of like it's impossible for a team like you know the Pelicans of Zion's healthy. Like I generally think in the West a team can come out of nowhere and just surprise everybody. But I think that just logically speaking, these four teams are the championship contenders. I think the Kings are going to be one of the best teams in the West in the regular season. I could even say that they could go into the second round, right? I just think that they're missing a piece. Um, like you need a superstar nowadays. You need a superstar nowadays to actually compete at a championship level, right? And De'Aaron Fox is a great all-star. Domantas Sabonis plays at all-star level. And I mean, it's not like we have never seen a team without a superstar make the finals and win the finals. 2014 San Antonio Spurs. Kawhi Leonard was not there yet. But this is still a very good team, and they need a superstar to reach that championship status. I don't know if how they do it. I don't know if they trust De'Aaron Fox to do that or Sabonis. I don't know if they think that the team together is good enough to do it without a superstar. I don't know. But the Kings are regardless going to be a good team. Their off-ball rotation, their shooting, their transition offense. They need to add more defense, which I still worry about a little bit, but that should be fine. This is a team that's proven to win games in the regular season at least, and I think they're going to do it again. Clippers, I can say all the great things about the Clippers. Oh, they're great depth-wise. They have two star players in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. They have Zubats. They're actually utilizing Russell Westbrook really well. But like they're just not healthy enough. If you sat up to me, right? If me in 2024, July 2024, came up to me and was like, I'm from the future. The Clippers win the championship. I would not be surprised. One bit. But just logically, they've been injured every single year. I cannot put them in that same tier as those four other teams. I just can't do it. Because this is what's going to happen. I'm going to say, oh, yeah, there are championship contenders. Even if they are healthy, they are championship contenders. So I'm putting them up in that tier. They're going to get hurt again, and they're going to disappoint. That's exactly what's going to happen if I do that. I'm not wishing it, obviously. I want to see Kawhi Leonard and Paul George healthy. I think that'd be an amazing Western Conference playoffs team to watch, right? Especially if we get Lakers versus Clippers. I mean, everybody's been screaming for that since it started. But, like, at the end of the day, I just can't trust this team. They have never proven to me that they can be healthy fully ever since the team got created, right? The only time that they were fully healthy was the bubble, and even then they, obviously just choked in the second round, the divisional round, and played horribly. I can't trust the Clippers. I can't put them in championship contender tier. Obviously, you have other teams. It's going to be very in the West. Like the Pelicans, if they're healthy, I would doubt that they miss the playoffs. The Timberwolves with Anthony Edwards and Cat and Rudy Gobert, I think that's a good team to make the playoffs. I mean, Anthony Edwards would have to become like a superstar for this team to be contenders. To be fair, and I think he has the potential to do that. You have the OKC Thunder, who there's a lot of young talent, but not a lot of experience. They can make the playoffs. But once they make the playoffs, I mean, like, do you really expect a championship from them? I don't expect that, especially since it's Chet Holmgren's first year actually playing in the league. So yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see who misses out on the West. I think that those four contenders that I spoke of, the Lakers, the Nuggets, the Warriors, the Suns, are locks. I for sure am putting in the Clippers and the Kings in that top six range. That leaves two spots. And there's the Timberwolves, the Memphis Grizzlies, which is a big one. OKC Thunder, the Pelicans, and the Mavericks, right? Do I want to count out Luka for a second straight year? In like a full offseason with Kyrie Irving and Luka, and like Josh Green development, Jalen Hardy played well last year. Like, do I really, really, really want to doubt that? But I mean, like, if Zion Williamson is actually healthy, I think the Pelicans are a better team immediately than the Mavericks. In fact, I think the Pelicans are a top 4 seed if Zion's healthy. That's how good Zion is, in my opinion. So it's like, and then of course you got the Timberwolves, who I think again, like Anthony Edwards has been getting better every single year, and he's just like he's just entering his I think 4th year in the league, 4th year in the league, and it's like, okay, well, when is he going to you know what I'm saying? Like, he's just gonna get better. So if he makes a jump, how can I really count out the Timberwolves, who do have like a pretty balanced team, good scoring, good spacing, and some great defense with Gobert and McDaniels. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander played like a gosh darn superstar in the regular season last year. Chet Holmgren obviously brings up their defense by a lot, and he also spaces the floor. And then you have Josh Giddey, Jalen Williams, Lou Dort, who's also another good defender. I mean, like the West is crazy. It's gonna be very interesting to see just throughout the entire rankings, right? Because although I did say that the Warriors to me are locks, I mean, would it be crazy to say that they somehow get bounced out because they play around too much, they get into the play-in, they get bounced out because, the Thunder have a good stretch of games during the play-in? Like, I don't know. Like, the West is crazy this year. A lot of things could happen. And before we go to the West, before we go to the East, my apologies, Victor Wembanyama, can he really make the Spurs playoff teams? I don't think so. I'm watching a lot of Spurs games this year, by the way. I grew up I am a Spurs fan. But, like, Wembanyama, Devin Vassell, Sohan's a good defender, potential playmaker, potential just like all-around hustle guy. And then Keldon Johnson's also a good role player. The depth is very questionable. You're banking on a lot of young guys. I just don't see it. If Wemby does do it, though, that is crazy, and he's definitely going to win Rookie of the Year. He might win Rookie of the Year regardless anyways, but he definitely will win Rookie of the Year if he can somehow get the Spurs into a plan, In contrast, the Eastern Conference is very top-heavy. Like, I am so confident in the Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks, and then there's everyone else, right? I for sure say there's only 2 championship contenders in the East. I'm giving the 76ers and the Heat some leeway. I was saying I wouldn't be surprised if they actually do it because of the talent that they have. And then, of course, the Knicks and the Cavaliers are playoff locks to me, and then we have everybody else. That's personally, to me, what's happening with the East. I mean, what are you going to do with the Bucks? How are you going to defend Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo? And not even that. If you do defend both of them like crazy, how are you going to defend Brook Lopez in the corner, or Chris Middleton in the mid range, or in also the wing 3? How are you going to defend that? Genuinely, because it's going to be a hell of a job to defend against both Dame and Giannis, anyways. Even if you do a good job, Giannis will probably drop 30 and Dame will drop 20, high 28 or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Especially since Giannis is showing that he can pass a lot more. And then you look at Chris Middleton, Brook Lopez. Perfect spacing with Brook Lopez in that gosh darn lineup. This is a team that has everything you could ask for. It has great defense, Brook Lopez and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Oh my goodness gracious. Great scoring, Chris Middleton, Giannis and Dame. And Brook Lopez, shoot, and spacing. It has everything that you need, and facilitating. This lineup literally has everything it needs. We'll see what Griffin does as the coach. But ultimately, I'm looking at, they are my favorites out the East. In fact, they are my favorites to win the NBA Finals in my mind at this current moment. But, hey, how do you defend against this team? I don't really think the Lakers has a perimeter defender to really guard Dame well, but I can in a world see Anthony Davis defend him pretty well, defend against Giannis pretty well. But how do you defend really against Dame? This is a very hard team to really go up against and be confident in saying they're not winning the series. I can't be confident in saying that at all. The Boston Celtics is the only team in the East that can take down the Bucks, in my opinion. Right? I think adding Kristaps Porzingis as big man creates a more lethal, bigger lineup. I mean, the Celtics were already a bigger lineup, but I think a more lethal, bigger lineup. Losing Robert Williams will hurt, especially against Giannis. But I mean, like, it's proven that no one really can stop Giannis anyways. On his bad days, he gets more than 20 points, right? And a couple of blocks and whatever. I think getting Drew Holiday is an amazing counter move to the Damian Lillard signing. That's an amazing counter move. And then you still have the blossoming superstar in Jason Tatum and the great second option in Jaylen Brown. This is a great roster, right? Obviously, Derek White, or actually he might be starting this now. He's starting at the 2 now. The depth is weaker now. But the starting lineup is perfect. Besides really rim defense, rim protection. Al Horford. I mean, Al Horford's like 30 million years old now, you know? But this is still too much of a talented roster, too much of a roster that, like, if they are hot, you cannot stop them kind of roster. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, though, I think that sometimes the Celtics really beat themselves with this, like, oh, let me just check up a shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, they kind of, like, stop running plays and they just kind of go, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be tough to beat the Bucks, but I still think that the Celtics are too talented, a lot of scoring potential, and this is still going to be a good defensive team, especially with Drew Holiday at the perimeter. I just simply cannot say that the Boston Celtics aren't contenders, right? The 76ers still have Joel Embiid. We'll see what happens with James Harden. That's why I don't have them as contenders, to be fair with you. Tyrese Maxey is looking nice. Like, he's looking like he might be able to step up this year and become like a third star. Made a couple of other nice moves. Melton's looking good. But like at the end of the day, I just don't think that they can really defend against Giannis and Dame, nor the Celtics. The Celtics are easily their kryptonite. Oh my God. And then we got the Heat. I can't count out the Heat. No matter how much I look at this roster and I say they just don't match up with other rosters in the East, it's like, but they've made the finals with this very, very similar roster anyways, 3 of the last 4 years. At least the Eastern Conference Finals, 3 of them, and 2 NBA Finals in the last 4 years. How can I doubt this Miami Heat team? You know what I'm saying? I feel like if I doubt them, they're just going to do it again. You know? Jimmy Butler, I mean, like, it's tough for me to say superstar, in my opinion, right? Because to me, superstar is a very luxurious title to have. Very, very luxurious title to have. But at the end of the day, he plays in that luxurious tier in the playoffs. He just doesn't do it consistently like as much, especially this previous year, even though he got hindered in the playoffs. But he also doesn't do it in the regular season. And I think playing at an MVP level is a part of the reason why you're a superstar. I mean, I'd say that Jimmy Butler plays at a superstar level. And, of course, Bam Adebayo is one of the best defenders in the league. Josh Richardson and Tyler Hero, you're kind of like looking at them to replicate and replace the Gabe Vincent and Max Strus production that got in the playoffs. Because, remember, Hero was hurt. And maybe a guy like Jovic, makes a leap. Just talking about the roster, it just is hard for me to really say that they are contenders. But when I think about how they play, when I think about Eric Spoelstra, when I think about what Jimmy has done, it's hard for me to say that they're not contenders. The Heat, I'm going to say, is obviously in that weird tier where I say I'm not surprised if they make a run, but I also would be surprised. It's like the 76ers. Like, I'm not surprised, but I am surprised. You know what I'm saying? That's the exact same thing. New York Knicks are going to do their thing. They're going to win a lot of regular season games. They're going to be exciting to watch. That's one thing I will say. Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle. They added Dante DiVincenzo, which I think is a great pickup. This is going to be a fun team to watch. I just don't think they're in the same tier as those other teams. They're just not. They don't have a superstar. Julius Randle, like, he plays at a star level in the regular season and just drops off for some reason. And even then, Julius Randle plays like, it's just Julius Randle's not as good as like a lot of other second options are, especially in the East. You got Dame as a second option, Jaylen Brown, James Harden if he plays. And you got on the Cavs, Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. Speaking of the Cavs, they're another team. It's like we're really looking for the development of Evan Mobley. At the same time, though, I feel like they're a team that I'd be surprised, but I wouldn't be at the same time. I think they have more time. They needed more time to develop, and last year's playoffs sucked. Trust me, it did. But it's not like we expect them to just play like that every single year. So, I think that they are playoff locks. I just don't think they're playoff contenders. I don't think that they're championship contenders. And then we have everybody else in the East. Who is filling up those last two spots? I want to say the Hawks because they always do it every single year. But at the same time, how long are we really going to wait for the development of guys like DeAndre Hunter on the team? And how long are we really going to just be like, yeah, Trae Young, like other teams in the East are brewing. They're getting better and getting better. The Nets just look like a pretty good complete team all around. The Pacers, had a winning record when Tyrese Halliburton and Miles Turner both played together, and they just got better in the offseason, in my opinion. And the Magic just keep getting better and better every single year development-wise, and they had a positive record after December, right? So it's like you have these teams who are coming up, and you're just like, how long can the Hawks really do this for? Ultimately, I think the Hawks will make the playoffs. I think DeJounte Murray, Trae Young, Capella. I like Hunter. I think that they can do it. And I think the Pacers make the playoffs. Call it a hot take. Tyrese Halliburton and Miles Turner do play great together. Miles Turner can space, can be great defensively. Tyrese Halliburton is a great playmaker, I'd probably argue. Not like one of the best passing people in the league when it comes to skill, but he facilitates the ball really well. He scores a lot of points, produces a lot of points, and he plays decent defense. Buddy Hield. Love Jarris Walker. Love the Bruce Brown pickup. Benedict Matherin's only growing. Have nice guys on the bench like TJ McConnell, Chris Duarte. I like this lineup. Obi Toppin. This is a nice balanced team that can make the playoffs. It's a little bit more on the fact of I very much trust in Tyrese Halliburton, and I did very much trust the Tyrese Halliburton and Miles Turner duo. But I think this team makes the playoffs. I think the Magic's too early for them. I think the Bulls, it's only a matter of time before they just collapse, in my opinion. I know some people are gonna be mad about that. I think they can make the playoffs though. DeMar DeRozan, I'm really wondering how long he really has. But DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, I think that duo is just done. I just don't understand it anymore, honestly. And they didn't really do anything in the offseason that really made me oh, Pat Beverly, oh. The Raptors. I think the Raptors are being underrated, honestly. Scotty Barnes can still make that leap. Just because he had a bad sophomore year doesn't mean anything. Players stay the same for the first 2-3 years of the year, then boom, make a jump. It happens all the time. I don't want to hear anything about that. Scotty Barnes can still make a jump. Pascal Siakam still all-star caliber player. Jakob Poeltl, the way that they're going to use him this offseason, they've talked about using him as more of a playmaker, which is perfect because he played really well as a playmaker for the Spurs when I watched him with us. And playing him on a pick and roll, making him pass on top of the key. On top of the key, in the post. He's a good passer. So that team could low-key work together. And of course, Jakob Poeltl is a great defender. We'll see what the other players are like. It's just really hard to really look at this Raptors team and then look at every other team in the East, and just look at their track record, which is very inconsistent, and say they're a playoff team. I do think that the Bulls and the Raptors both make the play-in, though, and could easily replace the Hawks or the Pacers as a playoff team. Rest of the league is okay. The rest of the East is I just don't trust LaMelo Ball. and the Hornets, right? Everybody got better. They're adding Miles Bridges, who's cool, but I want to see what he does after, like, and it's a horrible situation, by the way, but I just want to see what happens with that. Um, Magic's not there yet. Pistons, I think, probably the worst team in the league. Wizards, my apologies. Probably going to be a tie, between like a close race between the two of them to be like, oh, we're going to be the number one pick. I mean, Jordan Poole could go off, but still. And what else am I forgetting? The Nets. I think the Nets are a cool team, and they could definitely replace one of those play-in teams. I just think that the other teams will probably play a little bit better. I think they have better experience together, and I think we're going to see a lot more of a jump for those players from certain Eastern Conference players. Yeah, those are the kind of like what I'm viewing at for the both Western Conference and the Eastern Conference. When it comes to like really accolades, I mean, I haven't really thought about it a lot, honestly. MVP, every single year we kind of say the same like names, right? Obviously it's probably gonna go to a big man, probably gonna go to Jokic or Giannis or something like that, right? I think if the Mavericks do make the playoffs, Luka Doncic has a very good chance. Although I feel like I say that every single year. It's starting to get annoying. Jason Tatum, if they're the one seed. I think it's kind of going to go back to a big man. Wouldn't be surprised if it's Giannis Antetokounmpo. I could see a jump in his production just because the Dame's there. Really, genuinely, I can. I genuinely can. If the Magic make a big jump, Boncaro. If the Magic, that's so unrealistic though. But I'm just saying, Zion Williamson, he could win MVP. He could. He definitely could. I actually like that as a sleeper pick. Defensive Player of the Year could go a lot of players. Could go back to Anthony Davis. Do we see a guard again, like Drew Holiday? Could see that. Bam Adebayo. I feel like he just is waiting to actually win a Defensive Player of the Year, honestly. I mean, would it be crazy to say Victor Wembanyama wins his rookie year? I mean, the defensive versatility that he shows is pretty crazy. So we might have to give it to him. Rookie of the Year is going to be Victor Wembanyama, I think. Most improved player could be interesting. I'm just trying to view guys who are going to like break out actually and become like all-stars who weren't previously. It could be Devin Vassell. Could see a guy like Jovic who like makes a jump. That would be a perfect definition of a most improved player. Could see loads of guys win that award. Yeah, that's kind of like my season preview, right? Tonight is going to be Lakers versus Nuggets and Suns versus Warriors. Very, 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 very good tip-off, in my opinion. I'm going to be watching both games. Lakers versus Nuggets, probably going to pick the Nuggets, honestly, but I think this is going to be a close game anyways. Suns versus Warriors is going to be a closer game. I think that I'll take the Suns to win with that the debut of the trio. They're winning that game. Thank you guys so much for watching this, listening to this. If you like it, subscribe. Leave a comment down below if you disagree with me. I'd love to make content with you guys. I think that's an important part of this channel. This channel is going to be more than just me talking to you. It's going to be you talking to me. I want that to be the case, right? Expect a lot from this channel. This is going to be definitely the most consistent thing that you see. This is going to happen every single week. Hopefully, I'm going to probably do this in the NFL soon enough. I should have been doing it with the NFL already, but moving on college, big now. But now we're here. Thank you guys so much for joining. I'll see you guys next Sunday morning. Have a great day.